Hi, welcome to XReality Podcast. I'm the host, Dominic Wu. Each week, we will have conversations with industry leaders to explore the unexpected connections and opportunities between diverse sectors and the world of spatial AI and XR. Today, our guest is Aditi, an AR/VR product leader. With a background in UX design, Aditi bridges user needs with strategic business objective to drive early stage product development that leverages emerging technology. Through her recent experiences as the staff product manager at Walmart, Aditi has built multiple transformative projects for Apple Vision Pro, MetaQuest, and Magic Leap. Beyond her professional endeavors, she is passionate about building opportunities for LGBTQ community and has a co-founded MITK Spectrum, a resource initiative for the queer community at her under her. So thank you, Aditi, for joining us today.
Hi, Dominic. Thanks so much for having me on.
So what's your journey? And tell us a little bit about yourself and what's your journey for XR, AI, spatial AI, and also how what do you see the most important events in your journey that make you become yourself like today?
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, I'm really glad to be on your podcast, Dominic. And we've collaborated a little bit in the past, and I really appreciate the amazing community that you're building up. I think it's a great place for people to come and learn about XR, spatial AI. So yeah, kudos to you and hats off for doing what you're doing. A little bit about me. I've I think it's whenever someone asks me about my journey, it's a fun time to reflect. So let me do a little bit of that. I started my journey by doing an undergrad in engineering, electrical and electronics engineering. And I also took some courses in mechanical engineering with sensors and actuators. And I didn't realize at that point that, hey, this is actually going to be quite relevant. In the AR/VR industry, we're all about the next hardware, and all of this hardware is packed with sensors and actuators, and I think it's exciting. I'm glad I got to learn about that. And I realized pretty quickly that engineering is one piece of the puzzle for me, and I wanted to add in a couple more pieces. So I did a master's from Carnegie Mellon University in new product development, which also taught me a lot about UX design as well as business, and how to, if you're launching a new product to the market, how do you make sure that it's financially sustainable and a viable business? And I think I really enjoyed that course. I really enjoyed everything I learned there. And from there, I jumped into Walmart. I've been at Walmart for the past 6 years in various different roles. Um, I've worked on a few as a UX designer on a few data portals and dashboards, and also like ways to provide AI and ML based recommendations and the dashboards for those. And through that journey, I learned a lot about what does a day in the life of a Walmart corporate employee look like, and what kind of information are they seeking to do their day-to-day job. And it's a pretty high pressure job usually. Then I spent some time working on a really fun project on in-store digital displays. We were putting digital displays into Walmart's retail stores and thinking about how do we put content on these digital displays that either helps an employee do their job in a more efficient or enjoyable manner, or how do we help customers shop better. And then finally, and that project was really exciting. I learned a lot. And then the most recent project I've worked on has been on a team which was building software applications for AR and VR headsets. And we built we built software applications across a few different headsets. Um, and I think I learned a lot about the AR and VR industry and how to be a product manager for these new and emerging applications through that role. Yeah.
Cool. So, as for your thoughts about like how spatial AI or XR, how
Mhm.
can they leverage or help retail industry in general? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting question. Um, and I'm going to take a step back and say that, XR as a whole is moving, I think, from innovator to early adopter market. It's still very new, it's still very nascent. Um, but that said, I think there are a few spaces within the retail industry that AR and VR can really play a strong role. So, um, and I kind of have three pillars that I focus on. So, pillar number one is that um, we could build customer experiences. Like, any retailer can build customer experiences using AR and VR. And we see this with a few different teams, like a lot of almost every retailer now, uh, Walmart, Amazon, Target, Nike, Wayfair, IKEA, like almost all the retailers now have a lot of mobile augmented reality applications. And usually these focus on visualizing, furniture in your space, lighting in your space, paint in your space. And you can see this across all the retailers. And I think uh, there's a lot of potential, of course, to move that into a headset format, which makes it much more immersive than a mobile phone can be. So I think that's one space of potential. And um, I can already see, for example, with the launch of the Apple Vision Pro, Wayfair has ported its Decorify app onto the Apple Vision Pro, and that's an exciting use case in itself. So I'd see that's one to watch. Um, a second space, I think, is helping store employees and store associates do their job in a more enjoyable and effective way. And again, if you think about the size and scale of um, the store workforce that many retailers have, it's massive. Uh, so Walmart has about 5,000 store locations across the US. Starbucks has many more store locations, and so do, like if you think about Lowe's, Best Buy, all of these retailers have a huge base of employees that work in store locations. And all of these employees tend to need to do various tasks in store, like stock items, restock items, ensure that the store looks and feels the way they want it to and is meeting standards. There's a lot of customer interaction. There's a lot of, I think, finding your way around large stores. So there's a lot of space for AR and VR to play a part here and help employees do their job in a more enjoyable and effective way. Um, and then I think there's potential to build applications for corporate employees as well. So I would call that the third pillar. Usually there's kind of a headquarters or a kind of a corporate home office that each retailer has. And folks in that corporate home office do things like um, design products, right? So I think Nike has already started using AR and VR for product design, and they've talked about this extensively. Um, Lowe's has built out some tools for retail planning. So I think that there's a lot of different examples already building up, but I would call these my three pillars: is customers, store employees, corporate employees for retail.
Yeah, so according to, yeah, just a recap. So customer experience and store employees and
Mhm.
also like internal employees or corporate employees
Mhm.
for them to probably potentially come up with a new product by using AR, VR. So
That's
are
right.
those like apps, for example, your third pillar, right?
Mhm.
Are those apps like using the current kind of like apps in the market, like a Sketch, a
Mm.
Gravity Sketch, or Sketch Gravity. I forgot the name, but
Sure.
or Ships XR, right? Or they invented their own app.
Mm. That's a great question. I I'll probably need to dig into it a little bit more, but I I would lean towards I think it's probably a combination. I feel that maybe some aspect of design could be completed, like early prototyping perhaps could be completed through existing apps. I know there are some really robust apps like Maya and Autodesk have some really robust apps. So I haven't done it personally, but I feel that maybe some functions could be completed within these existing apps. But then I think there's going to be some very specific functions that maybe these existing tools are not optimized to perform right now,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And also, for example, like the corporate secrets, right?
Right. Yes.
If you use other people's like a software,
Hmm.
it might be uh, not really like for example, your entire data need to upload to their cloud, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it might for big companies, if they have the leverage to build their own internal software,
Hmm.
normally, yeah, people will just kind of like reinvent. For example, like a Meta, they have
Yeah.
their internal system for Unity prototype stuff. It's totally
Hmm.
different from the open source, but they have their internal source.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that there are maybe some combinations of something existing and
Hmm.
something maybe when collaboration they have some specific tools
Yeah.
that helps them. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, I think those three pillars are amazing because customer experience and also store employees, they wanna learn and help like stocking and restocking. And
Hmm.
also the third one will be the innovation for
Yeah.
internal corporate employees to work together or come up with a better ideas.
That's right.
So yeah, so according to your experience, we have a couple of topics we can talk about. For example, like Vision Pro recently kind of launched, I would say probably within 1 year. What do
Hmm.
you see that, for example, like a spatial computing, computer vision,
Hmm.
spatial AI,
Hmm.
this device or these functions, how does Vision Pro change, or how does spatial AI? Because I would say Vision Pro and the Quad 3, a lot
Hmm.
of people, I think the functions is very similar. However, Vision Pro is more high end, high level.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
I would say it's very interesting, those two devices. What do you
Yes.
see those like a XR AI, those like a future devices can
Hmm.
help with retails?
So I think I'm going to take another uh, step back a little bit
Hmm.
and say, I think the Vision Pro has done many things. And I think you're right about, the some of the technical capabilities of MetaQuest and Vision Pro, there are similarities, but
Hmm.
Vision Pro is really uh, positioning itself as a premium device.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think in many ways, Vision Pro is trying to show us what good can look like, right?
Yeah.
And I think they've done two really important things. Number one, they've put in a lot of capital investment and a lot of R&D effort
Hmm.
um, to build out even the smallest of details. Like I was watching a movie on the Vision Pro, and I had some food on a table next to me, and I was, eating some food while watching my movie.
Hmm.
And I could see when there was a bright yellow color in the movie,
Hmm.
the yellow color reflected onto the table, and it made it really feel very seamless, right?
Oh.
And yeah, so the yellow color from the virtual world reflected onto the real physical table that I had in front of me. So that was really cool. And it's a small detail which I think very few people will notice, but it takes a huge amount of effort um, to have achieved this feat of technological innovation. And I think it's a small but very subtle way of keeping us well immersed in that environment. And I think this is just one example of things that the Vision Pro team have done, to make our experience just amazing. And the reason I'm talking about this is I think the industry is still very nascent, right? Like the AR VR industry is still very, very early. We're just, I think, creeping into early adopter territory. And so I think the Vision Pro can be a really great prototyping platform to build proof of concepts. Um, I think if I were putting something onto the head of an executive, right? If I were meeting with an executive, a senior executive in a corporate environment, and I wanted to show them the future and what does good look like in AR VR, I would want them to wear an Apple Vision Pro, and experience that level of technological innovation. And I'd want to build my proof of concept on that. Um, at the same time, I would be very torn because, and now I want to counterbalance this with the role that the MetaQuest plays, right? I would be very torn because while the Apple Vision Pro is a really amazing technological experience and a really amazing user experience, um, the level of adoption that the Apple Vision Pro has is going to be far less than, for example, a MetaQuest, right? We've heard reports that Apple is going to ship maybe 500,000 units of devices. That's kind of some of the public reporting coming out. The MetaQuest has already sold 20 million units, right? So I think while I think the Vision Pro is a fantastic prototyping device to start with. Um, then the second thing that I think the Vision Pro is it's a version 1 of whatever it is Apple wants to build next, right? Um, so Apple, I'm sure, is going to um, be very thoughtful about what's next in its portfolio of spatial computing devices. And there are rumors flying around the industry about what the next device will be. Some people say it's going to be, half the cost, and it's going to remove that secondary screen and things. And none of us actually know the truth. But one way or the other, I think it's safe to say that Apple will most likely come up with another device. Um, and that device, and I think it's also reasonable to expect that the like AR VR devices or spatial computing devices that Apple comes up with are going to be uh, cheaper, more affordable for the general population. And as that happens, I think we'll have more and more customers adopting Apple Vision devices. It might not be an Apple Vision Pro, but we'll have more customers adopting Apple Vision devices. And at that time, I think more retailers and corporations in general will want to have a presence on Apple's Vision devices. And right now, using the Apple Vision Pro and getting familiar with not just Apple Vision Pro, but Reality Kit, Reality Composer Pro, and all of these software platforms is a great way to set yourself up for success for whatever are the next generation of hardware devices that Apple builds. So, yeah, so if I was to summarize, I'd say that number one, Apple Vision Pro is a great prototyping and POC platform to show what good looks like, and to really build that vision. And then number two, it's a great stepping stone into whatever hardware Apple is going to be building next.
Thank you for all the explanation or all your thoughts about the Vision Pro. And as far as I know, that Meta Quest or Meta is going to release another new device at the end of this year. The project is called Orion, and they are probably something very similar. Like according to what Meta said, that it's a breakthrough of the AR AI glass that nobody has ever seen yet. For me, I think you see like a brilliant lab or like the frame AI glass. Um, that was when I saw that glass, it was the ChatGPT AI glass. You can wear a glass and it has a ChatGPT attached to it. So
Mm-hmm.
you can ask questions and there will be some words show up. And
Mm-hmm.
recently I saw there was a Chinese company in a trade show in China. Someone kind of already visualized it. So there's a translation functions for that AR glass. They let somebody who couldn't speak Chinese, and then the person just used Chinese to talk with the person, I would say Germany person from Germany, and then wear the glass. And the German person was like, "Wow, this is amazing," because he saw all the translations in German from that AR AI glass. So this is very powerful, and so far it's only words and sync to ChatGPT, same as Brilliant, the frame AI AR glass.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, today, I just saw the news that Stanford students already put the AR glass already invented. So I find out this area is just amazing. So what do you see that these types of lightweight AI AR glass can help the industry?
I think that's the lightweight AR and AI glasses, I think, is what we're all waiting for, right? That's the holy grail of what we're all looking for. That's what we've all been saying is the inflection point, I
Yeah.
think. Um, and I want to be, I want to have a cautious optimism
Hmm.
about these because I think every single advancement that we've had, whether it's from, you know, uh, getting the HoloLens out there or the Magic Leap or the MetaQuest or the Apple Vision Pro, each one has felt revolutionary and transformative. And at the same time, um, we are still very early market, right? So it's this a very interesting paradox in which each technology is so brilliant and transformative and amazing, but at the same time, the market is still very early and very nascent, and adoption is still very low, right? Um, and I think this is because um, finding product market fit for a whole new category of computing devices is a very difficult challenge. Um, I think the technology needs to be at a very, very high standard, and it needs to be quite amazing, which many of these technologies are. And then there's also a couple of other pieces to unlock for everyone else, right? Um, the biggest piece is, I think, how does this computing technology fit into people's everyday lives? Um, we already have many computing devices. We all have mobile phones, laptops. Many of us have watches. Many of us have gaming consoles. So how figuring out that fit of how does this computing technology fit into a person's everyday life is really important, because I think in the absence of that, a lot of devices get bought and then kind of collect dust on people's shelves. Um, so that's the cautious part of my cautious optimism. Um, but my optimism is, I think, I see these pockets of markets emerging. So while as a total US market, the adoption of AR and VR headsets or AR VR glasses is maybe at most like 10, somewhere between 10 and 20%. Uh, Gen Z uses AR VR headsets quite a lot from what the data and the statistics say, right? Uh, and I'm comparing the Gen Z kind of gaming and entertainment cohort to the initial, like when mobile phones first came out, the business BlackBerry power users almost. This is the segment of early adopters that we have. Um, And so I think as these new glasses come out, each one is going to provide us with a new capability. So if it's translation, is that something that travelers will use when they go out to a different country? Is it something that multilingual families will use, in which different generations of the family might be speaking different languages, but they want to connect? So I think the my optimism comes from the fact that the use cases are endless, um, and I think the key is going to be that while all of us can imagine these visions, the having devices available to us is going to allow us to build actual products, put these actual products out into the market, and see which ones are gaining product market fit and which ones are maybe too early, or the vision doesn't stand the test of reality. So I think having devices allows us to test the visions that we've been building over the past few decades.
Yeah, the very interesting point you just mentioned, that product market fit is very
Hmm.
important for any hardwares.
Hmm.
And previous podcast, I interviewed Dr. Jose, who is also one of the leaders in Spain as healthcare well-beings doctors versus he also having some interesting combination merging with virtual reality technology. So I asked him about how do you see Vision Pro impact the well-being industry or healthcare industry. He mentioned that actually all the hospital in Spain right now is using Quest 3. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Vision Pro is much high end, right? And
Hmm.
when I saw Vision Pro, I mean, I made an announcement on my LinkedIn, and I think my
Hmm.
provisional thought, or like my stereotype, my bias thinks that, oh, this will be a healthcare device because it has the most high end technology, and also
Hmm.
doctors or hospitals has the most budget. And he said that, okay, so if you want to talk about the healthcare industry, this sector, it's pretty much all the money goes to insurance um, place, and
Hmm.
the hospital is just more like a labor places. They are not really have a lot of budget, and
Got it.
this one is like, wow, this is very interesting perspective. So yeah, it's kind of like a changing my thought. So
Hmm.
hospital, they actually want to save budget in Spain, maybe not in America, but there's some different cultures in different industries
Yeah.
in throughout different countries. But as far as he said that, oh, if I bought one Vision Pro, I can got like a 10 Quest 2. They
Hmm.
didn't even use Quest 3. They use Quest 2.
Yeah.
And they are doing more like, for example, for patients who are doing the chemotherapy
Hmm.
before that, or during the chemotherapy types of like a treatment.
Hmm.
They let the patient to wear that device, and also teleport them to different countries that
Wow.
already want to go. So it's kind
Wow.
of a distractions.
Yeah.
So they said that it is amazing because a lot of patients, they feel calm and they perform much better, and they also want to enhance the cognitive memories
Hmm.
by putting their childhood uh, environment with the childhood songs, the
Wow.
songs in that era, like our 90s songs,
Hmm.
and to kind of enhance the seniors memories. So
Wow.
I find out that, and they all use Quest 2. So yeah,
Yeah.
just like you said, that product market fit, sometimes we kind of position, and also we put a lot of different device, and we thought that, oh, that industry might use
Hmm.
it, but people who really use it has different answers and has
Yes.
different usages. And
Yeah.
I thought that it's just my previous thought for
Hmm.
healthcare. I
And
thought, yeah,
actually, I want to pick on that thread a little bit more. I want to
yeah, yeah,
expand
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
um, because uh, I think everyone in the market is fairly cost conscious at some level, right? Like different markets have different levels of price sensitivity. India tends to be a very price sensitive market. US is a little less price sensitive. But at the end of the day, I think all consumers have a budget and all businesses are looking to be financially sustainable, right? So while some devices like the Apple Vision Pro might provide a ton more features and might be at a quality level that we think of as much higher, uh, I think customers and businesses are always making a cost benefit analysis, like a feature to cost ratio. And they try and pick, what are the features I really need and what cost am I willing to pay for those features? And something really interesting that I think we all saw was when the MetaQuest 3 launched, uh, the sales of the MetaQuest 2 suddenly went way up, right? And I think sometimes I also think about the psychology behind this, right? And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a behavioral psychologist, so this is just me theorizing. But um, as a consumer, when there are when there's only one option to choose from, I try and decide, like, should I buy it or should I not buy it? When there are two options to choose from, I start to think, like, which one should I buy? I'm already convinced that maybe I'll buy it, and I try and think, which one should I buy? So I think that's a really interesting effect that I'm seeing of when there is a premium device out on the market. Even if people don't buy that premium device, it builds a lot of buy-in for that product category as a whole, and people start buying the maybe more entry-level, affordable versions in that product category first.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so right now you see like a lot of recessions, right? And Apple Vision Pro, you can see like a lot of developers are learning at the beginning when it launches because people think, oh, cooperation. Because at the beginning we had a lot of like leaders. I always scroll down my LinkedIn and I saw a lot of people, industry leaders, are talking about how Vision Pro will be widely adapted by the corporation at the beginning before even it launches. And I was involving in the conversation about how Vision Pro can adapt in the education sectors. For example, if there's a class need to
Mhm.
be, for example, if a school wanna teach Vision Pro, right? Yeah, and they just wanna try it and see how the market respond, right, or a student respond, and they just wanna buy one or two. But for Vision Pro, it's just too personalized. So, for example, it requires every student to have one, and
Mhm.
not many students can afford one just to
Yeah.
learn it and not guarantee they can get anything, right? So it seems like, for example, what if we only want to get two, then what types of sizes, what types of head straps, what types of, because it's just so I would say customized. You couldn't, for example, if you use Quest, you can wear your glasses and directly wear your Quest 2, Quest 3 to
Mhm.
do the eye adjustment. But
That's right.
for Vision Pro, you have to get the exact prescriptions.
Yeah.
So this is like a extremely tailored to that one person, and it's not for sharing.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how can an education kind of like a sectors adapt,
Mhm.
become an early adapt for the class? The student, imagine the student has to purchase one just for that one class.
Mhm.
Well, and that is not cheap, right?
It's not.
So yeah, so these types of things also prevent or kind of a hurdle unless the students are so well off that everybody can afford one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's very hard to to teach Vision Pro. Yeah, so it's
Agreed.
from other field and just echoing your budget sensitive.
Mhm.
Yeah, student, and you see like right now it's a recession. A lot
Yeah.
of people, especially tech people, got laid off. So see these types of because of recession and people wanna reinvent themselves, but you see like right now all the people who got laid off, they create their own like podcasts that create their own YouTube channels, start teaching free materials, and us for them to start, building up their brand. So this types of, I would say, for education, Vision Pro, for education or creating a course part, I feel like it's a little bit, there's a price sensitive hurdles. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that we talk about the Vision Pro, and also how do you see that AI influence that extended reality? How do you see like those two work together, and how this helps different industries such as retails?
That's a fascinating question. And I think, the AI space is so early as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think we see a lot of different experiments with AI coming in to, well, like across industries. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm seeing in retail, right? I think number one, search is really transforming. Uh, Nowadays, a lot of retailers are enabling um, kind of large language model based search in the search bar of their retail shopping experiences. So you can shop not just for a chair, but you can shop for a certain style of chair. And I think there's now more and more matching to larger and more abstract phrases that would have been very difficult with previous non LLM based models. And I think that's just an application of AI in retail as a whole. Uh, but then what I would be very excited about is if we could pull augmented reality into the mix here, right? Um, I think we've started to see sort of the beginning of this kind of approach um, with Wayfair's Decorify app, in which Decorify you can say that I'll provide a snapshot of my room. It's still a photograph. Um, and I want to see this room in a Valentine's Day theme or in a mid-century modern theme. And it actually does redesign your room for you. And I can see, I can see, AI and augmented reality sitting together in that application in which AI takes a really great input from the user and is very helpful in understanding the user's intention, and then translates that into an output which is visualized for the user using augmented reality. Uh, I think there's still hurdles and challenges to work through because and now I'm speaking a little bit about Decorify, but just a lot of these visualization apps in general, sometimes they're not very realistic. They manage to fit like two or three different sofas in my living room, and I know that my living room is not that big. um, they so there's small glitches here and there, which kind of build friction into the user experience. um, but I think AI can really transform the retail landscape in terms of being a source of really great user understanding user intent. And then augmented reality can come in and help people visualize the thing that they're dreaming about. So it's almost like sometimes the way I talk about it is you could have a Pinterest in your real life all around you spatially, and I think that would be just a fantastic thing for anyone to experience.
Yeah, just echoing what you mentioned, that I remember before I wanna purchase a bookshelf
Mhm.
for my room, and
Mhm.
then I use Amazon's, like they have like AR
Yeah,
kind of like ways. So I put my phone and put in, and it doesn't look realistic, and sometimes the shelf will stick in the wall,
yeah,
and at the end I kind of gave up just because it's a little harder to kind of do it, and it doesn't look real, and
yeah,
on the picture it looks so good, but put in my phone everything just mess up and it doesn't look good. So
yeah,
ended up not really buying anything. So yeah, just echoing what you said, that maybe our AR AI is great to have, for example, like a AI to kind of design a room for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And using the current product, those types of like a
Yeah.
generative AI. So that's go to another question. This
And
to another
just
yeah,
just
go ahead.
1 second. I have a hard stop in like about 20 minutes.
Okay,
So I
okay.
can go for another about 20 minutes and then I'll need to drop off. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the conversation so far.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, let's just be aware of time. Yeah, so what do you see that for this part for example, like um, if AI and AR can help somebody design their rooms, then how can, for example, interior designers kind of do? Because we see like an AI, generative AI has already, I don't want to say automate, but you see all the artists
Mm-hmm.
first voiceover. Right now, I use 11 Labs to create all my voiceover for my game or
Mm-hmm.
all my projects for reading something over, and I can choose the tones, I can choose the characters, and I saw a lot of voice at the beginning. The voiceover artist has protest like, "Hey, you use our data to train AI bots. Now they are much better than us. We don't have any projects." And some of it even use like, "Hey, this AI bot's voice is very similar to my voice. Are you using my voice to train for it?"
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you my personal experience that I before I was about to read, I published a book. I was going to read it every morning, read 1 or 2 pages for a couple of hours. It took a very long time for everything to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so probably it takes a professional person, voiceover artist, to read it for 3 months. And the budget is about 3,000 or 5,000 for an audiobook.
Got it.
So for me, I find out this is a extended hard work. But right now, when I record it halfway, I spend like 2 months every morning, read it for 1 hour, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I only finished half of it. And then I saw Amazon has a virtual voice studio. They are doing beta version. So I just click,
Mm-hmm.
and within probably, I would say less than a minute, it will automatically generate an audiobook. And the
Yeah.
quality is really good. So this is just how AI, because before I have to hire somebody to read for me. Now I don't have. So it's definitely a great tools to help voiceover artists. But when the skills is exceeding you, then it becomes like people don't need your service anymore. So we can see from text, right, writing to voiceover to picture generate. I heard some people teaching Photoshop. She told me that then you see like right now all the software are so integrated with AI, then what's the point of teaching Photoshop? Yeah, and start questioning like you see like in independent tools like mastering these tools. Before, back in 2000, if you master in Photoshop, you are guaranteed to be a graphic designer, you are guaranteed to have a good life. But now you see graphic designer combined with UX designer, and now UX designer, you see Figma, you can generate a lot of screens. So what do you see that AR and AI types of like auto generate rooms, these types of things either enhance interior designers, or what do you think, for example, interior designer, what can they do, or how this like employees need to transform to adapt this generative AI era?
So I think that's a huge question. And I'll give you just my little 2 cents on it, because I know that the heads of industry are contemplating the same question. And I think all of us as people, consumers, employees, part of the workforce, all of us are contemplating the same question. So just consider this my 2 cents. Um, I'm borrowing, and I apologize. I don't remember who I'm quoting here, but I've heard someone say that there are so I have okay, I'm gonna I have two or three things to say here. Number one, how is it going to impact people's jobs, right? I think there absolutely is going to be an impact on people's jobs. And this happens with every single wave of automation, whether that's, mechanization, which meant that suddenly there's far fewer humans doing activities like washing and drying clothes, and there are more machines doing washing and drying, um, to sewing and embroidery. A lot of sewing and embroidery has been mechanized. So every wave of automation brings a change in the kind of jobs we have. And it's fairly inevitable. I don't think there's a way to stop it. And um, then it becomes a question of, if we say that change is certainly coming due to automation, then it becomes a question of what is this change going to look like? And I don't pretend to know the answer, the 100% answer to that, but I can see that the way AI exists today, uh, let's say I as a professional have 100 different types of tasks to do. I think AI can assist me in some of these tasks today, maybe can even reduce the need for me to do some of these tasks. Um, but there are some tasks which AI currently is not um, very capable of doing. For example, customer interaction, strategic thinking. Uh, this is not a key strength of AI right now. Um, and so I think it will be interesting if we pull back to the designing a room example, right? Uh, when you're designing a room, there are a lot of tasks that go into it. And if I were an interior designer, one of the main tasks would be to understand the needs of my client and to understand what kind of home do they want to design, or what kind of professional space do they want to design. And this is something that I think still a human is much more able to do, because humans are able to have empathetic conversations with each other. Humans are able to understand the nuances of body language, and small changes in tone that AI is not yet fully picking up on. And then let's say an interior designer has a client who says, I want to have X and Y and Z, but then their body language is saying something else. The interior designer can pick up on that and push back a little bit. So I think there are some pieces that AI is not yet suited to. And I'm going to say yet because who knows, maybe AI will be able to do those things in future. Um, never say never, but currently I don't think it's there yet. So I think that's the second piece. And then the third thing I am thinking about is the ethical considerations that you brought up, right? I think it is a very valid ethical consideration to say that uh, when an AI recommends something as a mid-century modern style, or when an AI recommends a bohemian style, it is pulling from some previous designer's work, right? And it's pulling from established precedents, and it's not coming up with this all on its own. And I think it is a fair question to ask, like, how do we compensate the people who built that original work? um, I think the music industry has taken one interesting view on this, right? In which, yes, there are many unmonetized ways of consuming songs, but by and large, if you listen to a song on YouTube or Spotify, then the artist who made that song gets some amount of credit and monetization for having made it and for the work that they put in. And I wonder, I don't know what the balance will be with AI, but I know that the New York Times has started up a case in which I think they're suing some of the companies that make the biggest Gen AI and LLMs. And so I'm very interested. I think this case and these legal proceedings are going to be very informative. They're going to be the first of many, as we try and figure out what is the new balance of credit sharing, money sharing, what's that new economic model that we operate under, so that we can share in the benefits and the value that Gen AI creates.
Yeah, just echoing what you said that yeah, those like points. So for example, AI for strategic types of thinkings and customer support, AI currently is lagging off.
Mhm.
However, I listened to Sam Altman. He joined a podcast.
Mhm.
He someone asked him like, what do you wish that ChatGPT can do? Like, because he's the founder. So,
Right.
what's the biggest wish right now that you want ChatGPT to do? He said, I want ChatGPT to be a senior employee of a company. That is a little tricky. And he defined what's senior employee. He said that, for example, senior employee will confront him, challenge him. Yeah. So just like echoing what you said that the AI is pretty much take the previous
Mhm.
data that from human build, and if you go to ChatGPT, I
Yeah.
type. I recently typed like, what do you think about Israel war? I know like
Mm.
political things, so we don't want to talk about it. But according to the answer, is that, oh, please check the current news information online.
Mhm.
ChatGPT doesn't want to give you any information, any
Interesting.
personal thoughts.
Yeah.
So think about what's the difference between AI bot
Mhm.
versus senior employee. First,
Right.
senior employee knows the history of your company, knows what has been done, what's not successful, and has
Yes.
its own strategic thoughts, just
Yeah.
like you said, that customer service and strategic thinking, right?
Yeah.
And second,
And strategic thinking
yeah, yeah,
is, you know, it's the art of creating something that has never been created before.
yeah,
And usually a lot of the Gen AI and LLMs are basing whatever they build
previous.
on the previous, on the history. So
Yeah.
that's an
So
interesting
Sam
challenge.
Altman wants to build an AI that is more like a can do what senior employee do in the
Mhm.
corporation. So which means that the person can confront the leader,
Mhm.
confront the
All the
thoughts,
best. Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
best. Yeah. And then the second one is that that bots or that robot. Someone mentioned in tech talk talks about robot will bring AI from 2D screen to 3D physical world. So
Mhm.
imagine maybe in the future there's a robot employee
Yeah.
that maybe, I don't know, Sam Altman will create, or other AI company will create a senior employee types of AI that understand the company's history and also dare to confront the CEO or C-suite level of people, and also from the previous company strategy and combine with the current trend and
Mhm.
quickly come up with a strategic thinkings. So
Right.
what you mentioned that what AI is lacking of, actually Sam Altman is
Mhm.
already, his vision is to create a senior employee for a company. Yeah, so which is very I would say, yeah, very, very interesting. And also a lot of people, I would say a lot of like the capitalism, right? Or like the industry, people
Yeah.
who are on the higher level of the company, they
Mhm.
always said that, oh, you see, AI can help you to work on this thing, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, if you look at the people who are ready for hire, right? It's pretty much feels like, wow, there are so many things to learn. Yeah, and every field has a lot of different interesting point, and
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
can being automated by AI. But I
True.
would say this is a very interesting ongoing points. Yeah. So, do you have any other thoughts at the end?
Yeah, I think the one thing I want to leave us with is, um, and this is a bit of a personal passion of mine. Uh, as we build the future of this emerging industry, I think it's going to be very important for us to build for many groups of people. Um, and the way I'm thinking about this is, initially the users of mobile phones were BlackBerry users. Um, but then, and these BlackBerry users were, business professionals. using it in their professional work context. But then if we look at the usage of phones now, everyone uses it, right? It's not just business professionals, it's all of us as for our personal purposes to just capture a sunset or like a picture of food that we ate. And these are things which I don't think anyone would have imagined that phones would be useful for, but is an indispensable part of our daily lives now. And the way I tie this to the AR VR industry right now is, um, while it I can see that entertainment, um, especially for a slightly more male gaming audience, is like an initial use case for AR VR. I think it's going to be really, really important for us to start expanding the user bases that we build for. So if there's a gaming experience that you build, um, is there also a is there a gaming experience which is targeted at mostly boys, or are you also building for girls? You know, sometimes I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. There's this saying that goes, if you build it, then they will come. And I think it becomes a reinforcing cycle. Like, products and experiences and services get built for a certain audience, then that audience gets attracted to that product. And then more and more gets built for that same audience, and it gets very reinforced. But there's a whole new audience just waiting for you if you have the ability to build for it. So I would encourage everyone who's in the AR, VR, Gen AI spaces to start building for those audiences that aren't getting enough attention right now, because usually the fact that they aren't getting enough attention means that there's a big there could be a large untapped need sitting there. So build for the women, build for the girls, build for the queer community. uh yeah, build for all these people who might not get enough things built for them. And if you build it, I think they'll come.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking our interviews today. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes on Thursday. If you enjoy this conversation, check our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow up and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you so much and see you next time.